like the mouth, the moon, and the soil in the earth, breaking through the rocks, growing wild and tall till the buds begin to pop. So pack me in a bowl or roll me in a spliff. While you're breaking me down, you can feel your fingers stick.
Hi, this is Ryan Herron, writer at Leafly, Stoner Magazine, Leaf Magazines, and now Tripper Magazine. So I'm sitting down with the creator and head writer of Tripper Magazine, travel magazine for wanderers, weedheads, and the canna-curious. And I want to ask Amanda today about birthing a new magazine onto your local bookshelves, the trials and tribulations of that, how she wanted to pull out her hair, and how it turned out really very nice. So, Amanda, nice having you here today.
Hi, Ryan.
Yeah. Go ahead and just give me the idea pitch you had for Tripper before it was ever even a thing rolling off the printers.
It's really nice to be wearing a different hat today as a guest on the Smoking Spot podcast. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Yes, Tripper Magazine is my newest project. It came out, it literally arrived this week, last Monday, and it's really real. So it quite genuinely started as an idea, as many things do. If you're a longtime listener of this podcast, you know I love to travel. And you know that I've been working in the cannabis space for, at this point, almost 15 years. So I love weed and I love traveling. And a little backstory, I guess, is working in the cannabis industry actually funded most of my adventures in my 20s. So they really do go hand in hand. If it wasn't for the black market, I would have never traveled to as many destinations as I have. So I definitely got the travel bug, and anytime I go to a new city, I'm always looking for weed and fun things to do. And I realized that it's actually really, really hard it requires effort to discover stoner activities in a new city, even cannabis destinations. Like the first time I went to Colorado and was hanging out in Denver, Denver has been a cannabis tourism destination for a really long time, but it mostly is visiting shops. Now, Denver also has the International Church of Cannabis, which is a really fun place to visit, but that's one afternoon. If you're going to fly somewhere for a week or a weekend or a couple weeks, like what are you going to do while you're there? So I realized that us wandering weed heads need some destination guides, and that is how Tripper was born.
Very nice. So yeah, I like that. It's much more along the lines of maybe like David Cho's Thumbs Up. I don't know if anyone catches that reference, but it's like riding the rails, making snacks out of your backpack, finding the cool shit, and traveling for the excitement of travel, not necessarily the relaxation bit of it. Now, I think that where most of the travel mags that you find on magazine stands are staged ads for hotels, that makes Tripper this really unconventional and much more honest way of experiencing the city that you're covering that month through the lens of someone who is actually there to suck the marrow out of the bones and not just check in at the lobby and have a drink handed to them.
Yeah, so it would be my dream to be like the Anthony Bourdain of weed. Like it would really be my dream to just travel the world, showcase all of these amazing destinations and places. And because cannabis is not legal in most of the world, sometimes you really have to dig to find those hidden gems. And yeah, my travel style is do as the locals do. I really love to eat the street food. I like to immerse myself in local culture. I like to see local art and local music. I am not a resort girly. And also, it's 2025. So if you want to come to Toronto and visit the CN Tower or catch a Blue Jays game, you can fucking Google it. But if you want to figure out what park everyone hangs out in on a sunny day, it's Trinity Bellwoods Park, by the way. That is what this is a guide to, is all of the local places, the local restaurants, the hidden gems. We feature munchies, we feature activities, little road trips that you can take. So it's really meant to showcase the localness of a place. And because it's cannabis infused, we're featuring locally owned dispensaries, local cannabis creatives, people who work in the industry that also do amazing art. So our cover artist is Crater, and he makes these sculptures and also clothing out of like packaging remnants, like literal trash from the cannabis industry. So the cover is a sculpture of a raccoon that Spencer made. The raccoon is Toronto's unofficial mascot. I guess up until now, I kind of forgot to mention Destination One is Toronto, if that wasn't obvious yet. Destination YYZ. So yeah, Spencer is a local artist. He makes these amazing sculptures out of cannabis packaging. And he's just one of the many amazing artists that work in the industry here that are just like contributing to the fabric of the cannabis community in Toronto.
Very nice. So just a quick plug on where people can grab this if they're outside of Toronto, because this isn't just like these are the top 10 places to get ice cream in town. This is a fun flip through it coffee table style book with cool art and cool articles in it that you could enjoy no matter where you're from. And it's going to be really nice. And you have a whole collection of these of like basically pins on the map of places to go.
Yes, it also has a stoner walking tour of downtown Toronto that takes you through like a literal walking map that takes you through some like places. You'll pass through some cool dispensaries. You'll see some random public art. You'll pass through a couple of parks you can blaze in and then continue on your adventure. So this is like there's a literal map that shows you like, oh, walk down this street and you can buy a pre-roll here. And then you can walk to this little park, smoke your weed. And then you can walk to this bubble tea shop that everybody goes to. And then you can walk to Kensington Market where everybody hangs out and do some window shopping and stick your fingers in bead drawers and stuff like that. So it's very stoner friendly. Some of the other article features are I have this one piece called Hollywood North, and it's by Becca Rhodes. She's a really interesting person who travels to visit movie filming locations. Okay. So she wrote an article. It's titled Hollywood North, and it features 5 places in downtown Toronto where really famous movies were filmed that are pretending to be New York or Chicago or Gilead, The Handmaid's Tale. A lot of it was also filmed here in Toronto.
Ooh, okay.
The Shape of Water, that famous movie from a few years ago, that was filmed at a local restaurant. That's kind of like a legendary place called the Lakeview. So that is like, these are just like really offbeat activities. So Becca wrote this really amazing article that lists the movies and then also where to go to see where they were filmed. I have a piece on liminal spaces, the underground mall that many people don't know exists here, but Toronto has the world's largest underground mall, and it runs 40 kilometers under the entire downtown core. And it's as weird as it sounds. It's as weird as it sounds. And that is somewhere I take people when they come to visit, is to explore the world's largest underground maze, as I call it. And that's not a destination. That's just something offbeat. That's just something weird to do at night. Like if it's raining, you can just wander the path and everything's closed. It's the weirdest liminal space. I also have a feature on some of the weirdest public art that you can just walk through and see. Like a lot of the activities are free or budget friendly. Like Toronto has 3,000 public art sculptures to look at. Here are the weirdest ones that are right in the downtown core. One of which is Primrose the Donkey, which is a 14-foot bronze of a donkey wearing leg casts. It's so unhinged. And honestly, it looks haunted. Like it's really weird. Like you're not going to find that on a map. Nobody wants to see that.
See, and I really like it because have you noticed the proliferation of all of these activities that are made just so you can go and take pictures for like social media, where they're like, okay, a ball pit for adults is fun to jump into. Okay, ball pits aside, there are a lot of things where it's like it's a cool background, or it looks like a giant piece of cake you can sit on. Those are not as fun, especially because everybody's using the same things, as going and finding some unhinged sculpture that the city was like forced to pay for in the name of quote unquote art and being like, look at me, I'm here at this thing. And everyone is like, if you're, going for the social media cachet, wondering where the hell are you? How did you find this thing? Clearly, you're like an off the beaten path type person. So I'm not saying get the magazine so you can for the clout, but it is nice to have that point of view. It's like, look, if you want some things that aren't in everybody's backgrounds of their photos, like I got the pass for you.
Exactly. Well, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that because one of I'm gonna say every article is my favorite throughout the rest of this show
No,
because
you're allowed
I'm
to.
really so proud of every. This was curated to the gods. This is every single comma and every single picture I toiled over. So I'm really proud of all of them. But with that said, another one of my favorite articles is called Art Underground. And this one features Toronto's most canon graffiti artist who goes by the name Kismet. Kismet has been tagging Toronto. You'll see their tags on in like the most obscure places. Like, when you see graffiti and you're like, how did they get that there? Like tops of buildings, under bridges. And you're like, how is that possible? That's Kismet. And their work has really evolved over the years to now doing these like amazing installations that are just like so gorgeous and so colorful. But I interviewed Kismet for the magazine and they let us know some of the hidden spots to see Toronto's real graffiti. Like if you want to go to the art gallery or see a group of seven, one of Canada's most famous artists, yeah, the AGO, there's tons of art galleries. But if you want to know where the uncommissioned artists are throwing up huge bomb pieces on walls, that's what that article is about. And I know that's a thing people like to do. We have a place in Toronto that is not featured in this magazine. It's called Graffiti Alley, and it's literally on every tourist map. So people love to go to Graffiti Alley and take selfies because it's completely end to end, just covered in art. Great. Check it out. There's some really cool stuff there, but that's for the tourists. We're talking the offbeat under bridges art. And so Kismet names, I think, 3 or 4 places that you could just take public transit to or walk to, down alleyways, across a talking bridge, into one of the hidden gems. And these are like real underground gems. And one of the things he mentions in the piece is that people love taking selfies in front of graffiti. So make sure you tag the artist. So I just wanted to shout that out because that's something I learned that I didn't know, is that when you're, taking a photo for the gram and you have a gorgeous graffiti piece behind you or a stunning mural, tag the artist. So there's a whole piece on the culture of the graffiti scene as well. It's actually quite encompassing, but it's places that I didn't even know exist. And I live here. I didn't even know these places were there. So this is deep cuts. These are deep cuts, real hidden gems that are worth exploring.
So how did you like narrow down the subjects that you wanted to cover, knowing that it's going to be a while before you hit like Toronto V2? So like, how'd you narrow it down?
Yeah, so there's not going to be a Toronto V2. Every issue is going to be a different destination city. So right now I have a short list in my imagination because even though this wasn't even printed and shipped out before I was already planning the next issue, I really want to feature so many cities that are so fun for cannabis tourists. Or cannabis tourists is just a really professional way of saying stoners who go places, because like you have to find the weed when you get there. And often finding weed is the easy part. There's many cities where that is the easiest thing to do, is find a dispensary. It's what you do after the joint's lit that becomes the question mark. So yeah, there's lots of cities that I would like to explore, but honestly, the process of, aside from the final product, leading up to it, as Ryan knows, I've been working on this for over a year. It started as a ginormous list of every single thing that I want to know when I go somewhere new. So you want to know which are the best local dispensaries to visit. You want to know where the best munchies are. You want to know what neighborhoods are cool and what neighborhoods like are not cool, because some neighborhoods are definitely going to be more cannabis friendly in terms of what you see while you're wandering, but also the vibe. Like vibe is a very important piece of this magazine. And yeah, it's all about just like, anyway, so building up to that, I made this huge list with like 40 things on it, from snacks to accessories to shops, where movies were filmed. There's only one or two pieces that did not make it into the magazine for various reasons, but for the most part, I was able to include every single idea that I had into these 90 pages. It did drive me to madness.
Yes. Well, okay. And this is a question I want to ask you. Tell us some moments that you like really did want to cry or quit or like throw it all out the window and delete the files.
I would say so. My creative process is disturbing. My creative process has zero chill. Okay. Like whether it's 100 words for Leafly or, a magazine, it doesn't matter. I work best under distress, which is so not what I wish for myself. So I did cry like a lot. Like we won't announce this to anyone else. This is for our listeners only, but I cried a lot. This was incredibly massive undertaking to also write the travel guide. There are some guest authors, including Ryan, but I wrote most of it. So my writing process is complicated. It involves smoking a lot of cigarettes, and it involves locking myself in my room for days on end to land where I needed to be, reading and rereading and painting over every word, the flow of a sentence, the feel of a sentence to my eyes. Like these are all really important, very chaotic factors, but it's really important for me to have my eyes like what I'm looking at, and my ears like the feeling of the sounds, and the words to have a certain tempo, the language to be really accessible. So it probably doesn't read as you're reading it, but these are some of the mind games that I play while I'm working, which really drove me to a level of madness that I have personally never experienced. And I went to art school. I literally went to art school, so I've seen some shit. I would say that many people know the story of Van Gogh, the painter, cutting off his own ear. And I never truly understood why an artist would cut off their own ear until I decided to write a fucking magazine. And I feel that if a thought had popped into my head, like, why don't you cut off your own ear? It's going to be better. I might have done it. I didn't. Ears in place, didn't gouge out my eyes. No one was injured in the making of this magazine. It's vegan and cruelty free. However, I understand on a level I wish I didn't why someone might do that, because that is how I approach my creative projects, with a certain level of madness. So I really have to say thank you, Ryan. You've been a huge support for this entire project. I'm sure many of you have noticed we haven't been putting out a lot of episodes because I had to lock down harder than quarantine. I had to creatively quarantine myself for months to really rock it out. So thank you to Ryan for always being so supportive of my crazy ideas. Any of my friends who took hysterical phone calls, my friend Miranda, I showed up at her house late one night sobbing so hard that she's so nice, and she was hugging me and telling me it was going to be okay.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it was so distraught that she handed me a crystal and was like, maybe this will help. That is the level of madness where I was like, maybe it will. Literally, I think I need it. I will take crystals. I started wearing rings. Maybe I'm a ring girly now. Literally, imagine, I'm not wearing them now because the madness has been lifted. But yeah, birthing a magazine when you've literally never done it before, and you're as delusional as me and just think you can literally do anything, actually took me to the place of return. Thankfully, the nervous system is regrouping. But yeah, it was really chaotic. Just to add, the first few months, a lot of it was thinking, right? A lot of this type of creative activity is just thinking about how you want to lay it out, thinking about how to combine articles. Maybe I wanted to do a feature on the Jamaican beef patty, which is a staple of Toronto street food, but tying it into a larger article about the best neighborhoods to get snacks, or Toronto's a food city. So that was really important to include. How do you write a love letter to a city and share all of these? How do you put a whole city in a magazine? So the first 8 months was a lot of thinking, figuring out the logistics. Like I'm a creative, so I'm not rich, so buying InDesign was not an option. So luckily a friend on the fly randomly mentioned Affinity, which is a publishing software that is a fraction of the cost, and not only that, they had a 6-month free trial. So I actually got all the software to put together the magazine for free.
Oh wow.
And it took me
Oh wow.
exactly 6 months to put the whole thing together. You paint over fonts, you paint over the colors of fonts. Is it serif? Is it sans serif? How does that feel to my eyes? How does it feel to the magazine? Yeah, and then a lot of hours writing, of course, a lot of hours editing. And then the fun part, which is putting it together. And then the not fun part, which is moving one picture 1 millimeter to the left, and then 1 millimeter to the right, and then 1 millimeter up, and then back to where it started. And so on and so on. That is, I'm not saying it's the way to do it. In fact, I don't recommend it, but the magazine is quite literally perfect and quite literally everything I wanted it to be, and then some. So it paid off.
Okay, very nice. Well, I mean, it should be, right? I mean, you thought about it a lot. You hit some things that are kind of timeless, but in some ways, like this is a time capsule in a way too, right? And in the way that, let's see here, the travel guide that I backpacked through Europe with was called "Hanging Out in Europe." I don't even think it had an author on it because it was like, hey, if you're in the Netherlands, these are the best warehouses to go to find raves and buy ecstasy. And I was like, oh, hey, this is a really helpful book, but in some ways, it's a book. By the time it hit the shelves of Borders back in the day, like some of those things no longer existed. So we would show up and everything would be quiet or dead or had moved somewhere else. So in the way that this is like really exciting and, like I said, timeless, do you feel like you're sort of capturing a moment as well?
Definitely capturing a moment. I mean, at this time here in Canada, we don't have lounges. We don't have indoor spaces to consume cannabis. So ideally that changes, right? That's a hope for the future. So I hope in that sense that changes are made and regulations lighten up a little. But it was designed to be something timeless. So, these parks aren't going anywhere. The shops that I pick have longevity. They have community. That's why they're featured. They're really a part of the fabric of their neighborhoods. And so I really tried to make the magazine like very timeless, but the cannabis space is so volatile. Things are always going to change, and things are different. But it's also why I tried to feature not just places to explore. It's a travel guide, so a lot of it is places to explore, but also people sharing that information. So any specifically mentioned, say, restaurant or eatery is something recommended by one of the shop owners of something in their neighborhood, right? Like we're trying to build a really nice community and keep it in the family, really support those local businesses. Again, I feel like in 2025, there's probably 100 blog posts of 100 places you could rave and do ecstasy, right? Like these days, it's actually so easy to come across travel guides. And a lot of it is AI gen.
Yes.
This wasn't. This is for the people. And I personally wrote it to feature all of these places to explore. So you get like a full picture of the cannabis scene here. And also, as you and I both know, as anyone listening probably knows, cannabis is so heavily censored on social media, which is our main platform to market strains and products and people and art. Spencer's art has the little red it's an octagon that has the weed leaf on it. That's on all cannabis packaging here. Just photographing his sculpture with that little weed leaf in a red octagon will get his stuff flagged. So a lot of these artists can't even showcase their work either. And the picture, we know the word cannabis is censored. So it was really important to me to make this in print so that people could buy it, hold it, take them with them on the road. There's the map inside is literally a walking map, so you could just, with also like stoner friendly directions, so you don't just have to, you won't get lost. It's very safe, but there's a whole walking tour of the downtown. So this is meant to be like, yeah, your lonely planet
Yeah.
for cannabis travelers. That's the idea. It's been done, but just not for our people.
Well, here's the thing. It's been done, but not like this in any way. Like all of the weed magazines are like centerfold fold outs of a picture of a purple bud. You know what I mean? Hey, I love those too. I do. And then a lot of the articles are like, this cool new pot is going to change the way growing in your basement goes. You know what I mean? And then all of the travel mags, like we said, are usually just like advertising some hotel. So this really reminds me of Lucky Peach when it came out, like, I don't know, 20 years ago. And it was a food magazine from the Momofuku team back before they were like trying to act like they created Chili Crisp. And it was the food pictures were not food stylists. And the articles were written by people who cared a lot about food, but weren't from Bon Appetit. And the only ads they allowed in the magazine were like from their buddies who they were like, we like their products. And so to see Tripper kind of like doing this sort of like, this is what an uncensored artist and their community wants to show you about the city they love, I think is a really cool, like genuine way to connect that you're right. We don't get to at all on social media anymore.
Yeah.
And thankfully, though it is weed, like the sort of people who make the decisions of what magazines go up on the newsstand at the like alt bookstore or Powell's here in Portland are usually somebody who appreciate art and point of view and a slickly produced magazine. So I think that getting this up on newsstands, I know is going to be a real slog running around dropping them off. It is the first issue, by the way, but uh, shouldn't be too many barriers to getting in people's hands. Tell us right now where we can order a copy if we need to have our hands on one.
Yeah, so the website is fully launched. It's trippermagazine.com. I'm just starting to build up our community on social media. It's at tripper.magazine on Instagram. Let's see how long the account lasts because it is cannabis content and I'm just going for it. But yeah, trippermagazine.com. As you mentioned, a lot of magazines have a lot of advertising in them. This one doesn't. We did have a handful of sponsors, including Paper Chase Press, who helped actually make this happen. They were our print sponsor. They saw the vision. I sent them my proposal and like this whole grant process, and they loved it. And they picked Tripper out of all the magazines. I never thought in a million years that this grant would go to a cannabis magazine. Like in a million years, I did not think I would actually get approved. So they did the whole first run of printing. I gotta say, the paper is amazing. When someone buys a magazine, or I'm giving a few copies to a few shops so they know what I'm talking about. The first thing they say is like how good the color looks, how good the paper feels. Paper Chase also provided me with these amazing postcards that were designed by my friend Mike.
Oh my God, they are incredible.
They're so cute. The paper quality, the print quality is like extraordinary. It's so everyone who's like, wow, this is nice paper, right? Like before that's your first experience is the touch of it. It's gorgeous. The quality is amazing. But the front of the magazine where you would traditionally see ads, these are imaginary ads from a artist who lives here in Toronto, Andrea Flowers, who basically makes they're like a marketing person. They do logos and stuff. So they've been creating imaginary brands to help build their portfolio. So the whole front of the magazine is fake ads. We do have a real ad. So shout out to Sumo Cannabis who helped us get this magazine out through our community fund, which went to paying some of the artists, like our cover artists and the map maker. And then really, I only reached out to brands that are like Tripper approved, right? Like we've been in this industry a long time. You know what brands you want to hype up. So creating sponsored content or just volunteering content was really important to me to hype brands that I really respect, like Johnny Chronic and Sheesh, but also to get the word out. So when you come to town and you have 3,000 products to choose from, you know, which are local. You want to get the local flavor, you're going to try Divvy. If you want to do a local infused soda, it's going to be Sheesh. It's made with live hash rosin. So it's like 10 out of 10 quality and it tastes amazing. We're taking the guesswork out. You don't even need to rethink it. I've tried every product on the market and these are the best ones, right? So yeah, there's not a ton of advertising, which is, to circle back, why it's really so appreciated for anyone who's already purchased a magazine or anyone thinking about ordering a magazine. Aside from being probably what I would consider like my life's work, I want to bring this to more cities, and it's it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap to print a magazine. So for any cannabis tourism adjacent brands or people, please order a copy, check it out, and if you love it, invite me to your city. Invite me in. I would love to do features of other cities. Of course, I have a few in mind, but Portland being one of them, Ryan.
Oh yeah, come on by. We're waiting for you. Open arms.
You guys recall I went to Portland 2 summers ago. And I mean, Portland is an iconic cannabis tourism destination with so much to explore, and an amazing music scene. So I have a little seed planted that maybe it might be more of a music than an art issue. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy because I just made these. They just came last week. But after all the stories of my mental breakdowns, I'm like, let's do it again.
Yeah. Oh, truly. I mean, really, an artist is someone who finishes things, and to have something that could just forever be fucked with, to be moving pictures 1 millimeter this way and that way, you could do that for the next like 6 months without putting this thing out and trying to add pages and delete them. And so I think it's very cool that you were able to like step back and say, it's very polished, it's done, let's get it out there, because now it's literally in people's hands. And that's really exciting about a project that has just been, all the way from an idea to something that like existed on the whiteboard to something that like I think filled up all of the space on your hard drive. So this is very cool to see something like that be birthed and on newsstands. So I hope you're as proud of it as I am of you and the whole project.
I'm super proud of it. And if you've made it this far in the episode, like if you have a little shop somewhere not in Toronto, I would love to have this magazine in other cities. The idea is for your local cannabis community to come and experience my local cannabis community with this travel guide and the people that are here and the places that are here. So really want to build the community around this. So definitely find the magazine on Instagram and check out the website. It's pretty bare bones because I really just want you guys to order it. I really just want to get it in the hands of the people. Like it's not about the 25 Canadian dollars. It's about sharing these stories to the global cannabis community, one city at a time.
Very cool. I don't think that I could possibly top that. So Amanda told you where to buy it, told you what it's about, and I told you how good it is. So I don't know what's holding you back. Go ahead, order your issue today, and let us know some possible destinations for future episodes, for future issues.
Hell yeah, that would be super. I really want to I really want to showcase this this plant and the people in it. So thanks for having me on our own podcast today, Ryan.
Yes. It became apparent that it was taking time away from the magazine to try and keep you on the smoking spot schedule. And so now I hope that there's a little reprieve and we can record a few episodes and get the stories out there to the folks. But in the meantime, I think this is a very worthwhile project, and everyone should have one on their desk. I can't wait for mine to arrive.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, everybody, you know where to find us. Spread the word on this project and our others.
Said no matter what kind of pain and anguish life may bring you, oh, smoke it up, hold it down, and don't ever stop. Well, you can always find a smoking spot. Yeah, you can always find a smoking spot.
Hey, Smoking Spot fans. We're here to tell you about the newest launch from Centelligence Projects.
Over the last year, we've created the Cannabis Aroma Wheel. It's a sensory tool designed to help connoisseurs take their knowledge to the next level. So whether you're a bud tender, dispensary owner, cultivator, or you just love the smell of weed, you can better appreciate the cannabis in front of you.
Get your copy of the most detailed sensory tool built specifically for the cannabis industry and order your Cannabis Aroma Wheel today at centelligenceproject.com.